So good morning, dear students. Turn on your cameras, please. According to the rule of the lesson, you have to be turned on. Your cameras should be turned on, dear students. And keep in your mind that I'm making recording. Try to speak in English. Who is the monitor of the group? So here we have two
Me.
groups, yes? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm the monitor of 811A.
Fact 111. 11A. So make the list of your students. Check up your students, okay? FAC 111 and FAC 111 Foundation. Do we have any students from FAC 811 Foundation group? Do we have students from Foundation?
No. No. You were saying something about the list of students. Can you say again, please? We couldn't hear you.
Dear monitors, please check up your students because at the list of the lesson, you have to give me the list of the students who were absent in our class.
Okay.
So totally there should be 35 students. So do we need to wait other students? Okay, I will give you 4 more minutes to get connected to the internet, to our conference. After 11:40, I will start my lesson. I warn you again, and last time, I warned you last time, according to the rule of the lesson, your cameras have to be turned on during the lesson. So don't forget, from this time on our next lesson, next lesson, I will just leave out those students whose cameras are turned off, I'm sorry. Those students whose cameras are turned off, from the next lesson, you will be turned off from our, or you will be left out from my lesson. Keep in your mind. You have to be turned on. Your cameras should be turned on during the lesson. "29 students. So do we have monitor of the foundation group?"
Yes, I'm here.
I said, check up your students. How many students from your group are absent? Try to find out and connect with them. Tell them to join our conference. So you see, we waste our 10 minutes just for connecting to the our conference. Not all the time, all of you are ready to connect on the time. You are always late, dear students. Next time, try to connect at time, okay? On time. At 11:30. Dear monitors, after the end of my lecture, try to give me the list of the students who were absent. Don't forget about it.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue our lessons then. So I think we have waited enough. So here's our lecture theme. Today we will study about literature and language skills. Our lesson plan is first literature and reading, literature and writing, and we will study literature as a subject matter for writing. Before getting down to my lecture, I would like to demonstrate a video. So dear students, you can find all the materials from tng2.iu.edu.kz. So here on our second week, we have all our materials, and you have to do all the tasks that are given in each week. Don't forget about it, okay? Have you passed all the tasks? For example, have you passed the task of the first week?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we have.
What about the test of the first week? And also Birch Sims.
Yes.
So you have had done this all the tasks from of each week. So Right now, I'm going to demonstrate you the video that is connected with our second lecture. So it's already open on my computer.
Hello, I'm here again to present another lesson to you guys, and by this time, our topic is literature in the teaching of language skills. Literature can be a very effective means of developing the language skills of our pupils, specifically this listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So let's see in this presentation how can we use this literature and what um, activities or strategies can we adopt or can we use in developing those macro skills of our students? Let's talk first about literature and reading. If you're teaching a literature or a literary piece to your students, and if you wanted to enhance their reading skills, you have to remember these three levels. So we have first the literal level. What do we often ask here in the literal level? Definitely, we asked about the facts of the story. So where did the story happen? What time, if the time was indicated, the atmosphere of the story, who are the characters in the story, who are the protagonists, antagonists in the story, what happened in the beginning of the story, the rising action, falling action, including the ending. Okay, so if these students can understand these questions or can answer these questions, that means that they understood the story literally. Okay, so it's the first thing to do as teachers. You have to check if your students understood the story in literal level, because you cannot go deeper, you cannot let them interpret and analyze a certain text if they cannot if they did not understand the story very well. Okay, after literal level you can proceed to inferential level. So here they can now start making speculations or interpretations in the setting, characters, theme, and even the point of view. So you can ask about the symbolism of um, the objects or the characters in the story, and you can ask them the reasons behind their actions. You can let them speculate about the theme of the story and so on and so forth. So that's the inferential level. Okay, then after that you can now proceed to personal or evaluative level. So this stimulates students to think imaginatively about the work. At this time you can now ask your students to evaluate the work. So for example, do you like the ending of the story? If you don't like, or if you don't really like the ending of the story, how will you make an ending of that, right? So you can let them make an ending of the story, and that's already integrated, right? You can integrate that already into writing. So see, you are using literature in developing the reading skills of the students. At the same time, if you let them write an ending of the story, then you integrate now the writing skills. Because if these macro skills are not taught in isolation, okay, they are always integrated with one another. Okay, or you can ask them to evaluate an action of the character. Okay, or you can ask them, if you are the main character in the story, what would you do? Okay, so that will help them stimulate their imagination and of course to provoke their problem solving abilities. Of course, if you let them be in the shoe of the one of the characters in the story, and definitely they will be facing um, conflict in the story. What possible solutions could they make? What actions will they be doing if they are the character? Okay, so that's it, the personal and evaluative level. Now it depends on the strategy of the teacher, how will he or she is going to present this one. Okay, because it can be individual, but it could also be a collaborative work. So for example, if they understood already the story in the literal level, then the teacher can group the students or pair the students so they can exchange work with exchange ideas regarding their own interpretation of story, right? And they can also share their personal views, their evaluation of the story itself. So it depends on the creativity as well of the teacher. It depends on you. Okay. So that's read literature and reading. Now let's talk about literature and writing. Literature can be a powerful and motivating source of writing, both as a model and subject matter. So what does it mean, model and subject matter? So as a model, you can use controlled writing. All right. So what does it mean? You can. This is actually very effective to beginning learners. Okay. So you can ask them to rewrite certain scenarios in the story or certain sentences in the story and let them analyze the grammatical structure of those sentences. So you are now integrating grammar in your teaching, okay? Or probably you can ask them to have a newscast of the story, right? They can write newscast, live newscast out of the text you have taught to them. So it can also be, right? It can be a model. And then you can also have the guided writing. So this is very important, specifically if you wanted them to master the story in the literal level. Okay, so how do you do this? You can ask them questions. Okay, you can ask them series of questions in which if the students or pupils answer those questions, they can now summarize the story. Okay, or you can give them sentences or send a prompt, and then they're going to continue the sentence or paragraph. In which, if they will be able to do that, they can already sum up the story. Okay, so this is more of the mastery of the story. You can use also this one, the guided writing. You just have to provide worksheets to your pupils or students, and then reproducing the model. You can let them paraphrase, summarize, and adopt. So paraphrase, how do you do that? So for example, in the story, it is told in through the
Uh, Excuse me for interrupting. So I just wanted to know how many students are there in Fox 811? Totally, how many
28.
students?
29? Yeah, hold on.
28.
28. Okay, thanks a lot.
Oh, okay,
Please
28.
continue watching.
dialogue, right? So with this, you can ask the students um, to write a narrative of the dialogue. It could also be, or vice versa, right? A narrative. Out of the narrative, you let your students write. Um, um, out of narrative, you let them write a dialogue. It could also be done by the students, right? Or you let them write. If the story was told in third person point of view, you can ask your students to write or rewrite the story or paraphrase the story using the first person point of view, right? So there are a lot of things that you can give to your students in order for them to develop the writing skills. Now, for composition teachers, actually it's very hard for them to choose a subject matter. Okay, however, if you use literature, there could be a wide range of subject matter. The topic could be a subject matter, the theme could be a subject matter, the characters, symbolism, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of subject matters that they can get. So that's the second one that we'll be talking here. Okay, as a subject matter, so students make inferences, formulate their own ideas, and look closely at a text for evidence to support generalization. So you can provide questions to them. So see, the role of the teacher here is a guide. Okay, you guide them. How? You must have to have good questioning skills. Okay, so your questions will help them make inferences or formulate ideas. Okay, so your questions must be under higher order thinking skills. All right, so you can let them analyze, evaluate, create. What else? Synthesize, and so on and so forth. Right? Okay, and you also have to tell your students whenever they make inferences or interpretation in the text, whether it is written or in oral, they have to always look for evidences in the text itself. Okay, it's not just a matter of saying your interpretation because that's your own point of view, because there must be an evidence of that. So what are the supporting, what would support your interpretation, what would support your inferences, so you can get from the text itself to support your generalizations, interpretations, speculations, so on and so forth. There are mainly two kinds of writing based on literature as a subject matter. So we have writing on or about literature and writing out of literature. Writing on or about literature. So you can give this one traditional assignments, okay? Written responses to questions, paragraph writing, in-class essays, and take-home compositions. Now, this is very important, and this is very helpful if you will be able to do this correctly, okay? Because I know this is my observation as a literature teacher, okay? If you ask your students to read a text, for example, a short story or a poem, 2 days before, okay, so that they can prepare with the discussions. Now, during your discussion, when the day comes, only few of the students have read the story. And sometimes what happens is they even forgot their copy. Okay, that happens inside the classroom. So you can use this on or writing on or about literature. So you can you can give them sets of questions if it is effective in the higher grade levels. You can give them already sets of questions, and then you give them the copy. Okay, so these could be guide questions in understanding well the story and interpreting the story, so that during the discussion students can share a lot because they've already learned, they've already read and interpreted the story, right? So therefore, the discussion is very active. Okay, you can also in lower grades you can also discuss first of all the
Dear students, please, during the lesson, turn off your microphones because some noises are coming from, I don't know, from one student, from you. Disturbs it.
theme of the story. Okay, for example, you give them the story that will be the topic by next meeting, but you will not discuss yet today, right? What you will be discussing or what we will be telling to them is about the theme of the story. So you can explore about the theme of the story, especially the story is very nice, right? Because if they know the theme of the story, that will help them become excited, okay, in learning the story or the piece that you gave to them. So in turn, the students or pupils will then read the story in their home. Okay, they will have advanced reading already. Okay, however, writing on or about literature is not only done before teaching the literature itself, the text itself. You can also use that one during the study of literature, during the discussion, and you can also you can also let them write or use this one right after the discussion. It depends again on your creativity as a teacher. Got it? Okay. So writing out of literature. Writing out of literature means making use of literary work as a springboard for composition. So creative assignments developed around plot, character, setting, and theme. So there is still, you're writing a composition, but there is still the connection of the text that you have read. Okay, so it could be based from the plot, from the character, setting, themes, or figurative languages that were used in the text or literary piece. So you can use, or you can add, you can use these following activities, adding to the work, right? You can let them, for example, you can let them add a scene in the story, right? So if you will be the author, or if you will be rewriting the story, what additional scene will you be adding in this story? Okay, that's composition, right? So making that will stimulate as well their creativity. Hmm? Changing the work, you can ask them to change um, to change the ending of the story. If they're not satisfied with the ending, they can, for example, if it's a happy ending and they don't want happy ending, then they can change it. Okay, or if the story was told in a traditional manner, okay, or the traditional plot, then they could use literary devices in order to retell the story in different ways. For example, they can use in media re, so they can start with the middle, and then beginning, and then the ending. Right? They can now make use of flashback and foreshadowing. So again, creativity of the students will be stimulated here. And drama inspired writing, okay, they can write script of that of the text they have read. Okay, they can always do that. And a letter addressed to another character, right? For example, you are one of the characters in the story, right? What would you tell to the other character? Okay, this is very effective, especially for higher level, especially if the story is very interesting. If it's about love and so on and so forth. If it's in the lower grades, probably the most effective stories are stories which theme are focused on the love of parents, to teachers, and then the pets, and so on and so on. So they could also do that one. A letter addressed to another character or persona or personae if you what you have studied is a poetry. Okay, so that's literature and writing. Now we'll talk about speaking and listening. So this is equally important, of course, in equally important as reading and writing, speaking and listening, right? So you can do this always. I mean, you can also do this inside your classroom. Okay, in presenting short stories or presenting a poem inside your classroom, you can use oral reading. You can in lower level, or you can do this first. Okay, you read if it's a poem, you read it first. Okay, of course you have to model the correct pronunciation, diction, and so on and so forth, so that your students will imitate it. Okay, again, if you read that, they will listen. All right. After listening, they will also read the poem themselves. Okay. So listening and speaking. Okay. What is the advantage of reading that one? Okay. If students read aloud the text, whether it's a poem or short story, they can assess and monitor their pronunciation. So they could also enhance their pronunciation, okay, the diction, and so on and so forth, right? So that's the power of oral reading. But of course, there are a lot of ways to make it more interesting to the students. Again, it's a matter of the creativity of the teacher. Okay, drama. Okay, you can let them dramatize the story. Okay, if it is a short story, if there are two or more personae in the poem, then you can let them write a script of the poem and then dramatize it. Okay, So in dramatizing it, if they dramatize a certain scene or a certain poem, the more that they appreciate it, the more that they can feel, okay, the emotion in this story, and the more they learn, okay, about the text you have studied. So dramatization could be could be dramatization, like what I've said, and role playing or improvisation, right? So again, in acting out, okay, the scenes in this story, definitely they would enhance their speaking and listening skills, right? So these are, again, as you can see, okay, these four skills are actually integrated with one another. Again, if you will be teaching literature or if you'll be enhancing the language skills of the students, do not isolate the skills because these are integrated. Okay? All right. So that's it. I hope you.
So thanks a lot. Now we have finished with the video. So dear students, if you have noticed it, this video was contained all the materials that are given in our lecture, all the materials that we have to study today. They are all was demonstrated in they all were demonstrated in this video. So you can find our material lecture from the TNG base. Right now I'm going to check you up. I'm going to pronounce your names. Okay, if or let's ask from monitors. I'll pick Asil. Are you here? Monitors of the group FAC 11 811
Yes.
foundation. I'll
Yes,
pick
I'm
Asil.
here.
Yeah, okay. Abdrazakova Bayan. Are you here?
No, she's not.
Okay, she's not. She was absent. Okay, Bazarbayeva Igerim.
I am here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Burhan Halima. Laurbekova Agaydan. Agaydan Zaurbekova. Are you with us?
She was here. Alright. Go.
What about
No,
Burhan
she left.
Halima? Burhan Halima.
No, she's not here.
She's not here. Okay. Zaurbekova Agaydan. Was
Yeah, guys,
was she present? Was she present during the lesson? Kutusheva Aruzhan.
I'm here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Khadarbayeva Gauhar.
I'm here.
Okay, Mamurov Aybek. Zaurbekova, we didn't hear from her. Okay, Tohtagul Albina.
I'm here, teacher.
Agaytun Zaurbekova. Okay, you are here. So thanks. Mamurov Aybek. We didn't hear from him. Okay, Tohtagul Albina.
I'm here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Ubaydullah Yıldız. Ubaydullah Yıldız. She's absent. Okay, thanks a lot. Next. So, FAH 11, FAH 811. Dear monitor, can you tell me who is absent?
Mirwert is absent.
Mirvert, pronounce your surname, please.
Nurlubekova.
Alibekova Mirvert. Alibek.
No, Nurlubekova Mirwert.
Alibekova Mirvert, okay. So,
being
was she absent on the previous week?
No.
Was she absent or did she present?
She present.
Okay, she took a present. Okay, she took a part in our lecture. So, what about others? Only Mirwert is absent from your group.
Yeah, everyone is here
Okay,
except
thanks a lot.
Mirwert.
Yıldız Ubaydullah, I think she has joined us, yes?
Yes, she was here actually, but I think her internet
One, two, three.
unconnected us.
1, 2, 3. 3 students are absent from 100, from foundation group. What about from 811? only one student. So according to our lecture, according to the Zoom checkup list, so there were 5 students who were absent.
Also from 811B, Abduali Akhtorgon is absent.
Abduali Akhtorgon.
She has warned you.
Akhtorgon
has-
Abduali from 811.
B, yes.
Abduali Akhtorgon. Okay, she's absent. Why?
Today she has Zatu.
Uh-huh. Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So I think we have 2 more minutes, dear students. So you had a general information about literature and language skills. So literature helps to study what? To teach what? To teach reading, speaking, writing, and listening skills. All the communicative skills. So literature helps us during the lesson, during the teaching of languages. It helps us to teach all the communicative skills of the students or pupils. In order to organize literature teaching in English, in language teaching process, we have to keep all the following methods, all the methods that we have learned from the videos. So for the next time, dear students, for the seminar hours, be ready with your presentations. Try to show me the improvements of how we can use literature in teaching language, how we can use literature in developing students or pupils' communicative skills. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Thanks a lot. Have a nice day off.
Thank you. Goodbye.
I will
Sağ olun.
Sağ olun.